And I was like, dude, wait, what? You actually said that out loud? Like, oh, like, yeah, no, yeah, this is not going well at all. So, hi, my name is Dr. Carey Yazeed, and if you are new to my channel, welcome. And if you are returning, honey, welcome back. On this channel, I help you to make it make sense. So today, I want to have a conversation about New York Times bestselling author Omar Tyree. So yesterday, over on Threads, Mr. Tyree was trending, and he wasn't trending because of the relaunch of Fly Girl, which was his first novel that he released back in 1993, which put Omar Tyree on the map. So no, he was trending for a trash interview that he did that was posted on YouTube sometime yesterday, and yeah, the girls are not happy at all. So, to give you a little backstory on Omar Tyree, if you don't know who I'm talking about, Omar Tyree is a print journalist. He is a 1991 graduate of Howard University with a degree in print journalism. He wrote his first book, which went on to be a New York Times bestseller, which was Fly Girl. He wrote that in 1993. Since then, he has written 14 other books, giving him a total of 15 books that he has written over the years. So, in addition to being a New York Times bestselling author, Omar Tyree is also a NAACP Image Award winner. So, the guy has, he's got some credentials, as we would say, in the literary world. So, cutting to the chase. Basically, Omar did this interview with a book talker by the name of Storm. And during the interview, it went from bad to worse in 0 to 5 seconds. Literally, you start watching the video and it gets cringier and cringier. So some highlights of some of the things that Omar said that I think helped him to lose his fan base during this interview was, one thing he stated was that Black men don't read his books. The only men who read his books are Black men that are in jail because other Black men just don't care. He also stated that Black women don't swim because we don't want to mess up our hair and nails. He went on to state that Black women don't get the ballers, that white women and Asian women are the ones that ballers pick because they know how to be submissive. Black women don't know how to be submissive. So therefore, that's why we're not getting these ballers, okay? And then he went on to state that, he compared chivalry, so opening doors for women, helping women to like carry their bags or whatever, that he compared that to being a butler, and that he is not here to basically be your butler. He really degraded like Black independent women, Black professional women, Black women who have their own. And basically he was saying that a woman's place is in the kitchen, the kitchen and probably the bedroom. And that when he comes home, he expects to have a meal cooked for him because he's been at work all day and he's been working hard. Like literally it went from bad to worse. He also downgraded other Black authors, and he said that they over-sexualize everything. And then he gave us a comparison of Zane. Well, that's Zane's genre. So, like, you can't compare everybody to Zane. He also stated that there are no longer any book lists. And so Storm tried to correct him and talk about book talk and how, you can actually find, and also book clubs, Black book clubs, and that is where the lists are now generated. And so he was saying like there's no longer an Essence bestsellers list. And I was just like, dude, there hasn't been an Essence bestsellers list in years, like years. And so you just got the feeling that he was very out of touch with what is going on now in society and how readers connect with authors, that he's way off base with that. You also walked away with, you really don't understand who your core audience is, who your fan base is, who your readers are. Because if you did, you would not be talking about the very Black women that supported you in 1993 when Fly Girl came out. I actually read Fly Girl, and I want to say I also read For the Love of Money, which I think was the follow-up to that. There may have been another book in between, but those are the two that I know that I read that he wrote. So according to Goodreads, where Fly Girl has a 4.27 star rating, Fly Girl is about a young woman coming of age in the late 80s. The main character is Tracy Ellison, and she is living life as fast as she can. Motivated by the material world, she and her friends love and lead the young men who will do anything to get next to them. After she has like this sexual encounter that threatens to bring heartbreak upon Tracy, she begins to re-examine her life and, her outlook on where she's going and also her sexuality. As I was reading the comments on Threads yesterday, what I began to realize was that a lot of readers were introduced to him in middle school and high school. So they were reading Fly Girl at a very young age. A lot of them said that as they read it then, it helped them to see what was going on in the world around them. Like they could kind of relate. I remember I read it like in my mid 20s. I was either 24 or 25 when I picked it up. And probably for me, I may not have identified with what he was writing about because, again, that wasn't the life that I lived when I was coming of age. And everybody's different. But there was a comment that Omar made during his interview with Storm that really made me say, like, what was Fly Girl really about? Because, again, Fly Girl was written by a Black man, but it's from the perspective of a Black female that's coming of age. Like, she's a teenager. That's interesting. Okay. But he stated that when a girl begins to show curves, when she starts to develop, that is an indication to men that she is ready to procreate. And I was like, dude, wait, what? You actually said that out loud? Like, oh, like, yeah, no, yeah, this is not going well at all. So you begin to see as the interview went on that his thought process is very misogynistic. Again, you don't get that he really likes women. You really don't get that he likes Black women. And again, it's one thing to think that, but when you start saying it out loud in an interview that's starting to go viral, and you're doing a re-release of your first best-selling novel, like your first novel, period, that's not going to go well. And so at this point, I'm just like, where is his PR team? Does he have a PR team? He's been with Simon and Schuster for years. So that's the only publishing company he has ever been with. So my guess is that you should know that he says some problematic things sometimes. And that takes me back to 2005. I had to look at my notes. In 2005, he wrote an article for Essence Magazine. And basically the article was centered around cheating on your wife and justifying cheating on your wife when, as a man, you feel that they can no longer fulfill your sexual needs and desires. That do you wait around for your wife to get it together, or do you just go and find somebody else? And so I was just like, wait, like, y'all, he's been saying like off the wall stuff. So if you're planning to do a re-release of this book, Fly Girl, did no one think it might be a good idea to have a publicist on hand for him? That when he does an interview, have the interviewer to send the questions ahead of time so that he can be coached. Yes, this is done a lot of times. Coach him on what to say and say, no, you can't say that. Also have someone in the room with him shaking their head like, no, stop, you shut up. Like putting some things in place so that he does not blow this opportunity of a lifetime. So since this interview, his core audience, his fan base is saying they are not going to support the re-release of Fly Girl, that they're not going to buy it because he doesn't support Black women, that the thoughts that he shared in that interview about Black women lets them know that he doesn't appreciate them, that he doesn't realize that they are his fan base. And that he doesn't like them. And so when you listen to him, you walk away and you say, this dude is stuck. Like he's 20 years behind, or he's still in the era of when he wrote Fly Girl, and he didn't grow with the rest of us. He didn't grow with social media. You know, he's sitting there, he's complaining that there are no longer book lists that inform people of what to read. And then he goes and he starts talking about the Essence bestsellers list. And so Storm is trying to tell him how there's book talk and book clubs that have replaced that. And so instead of there being this bestsellers list, that book clubs develop lists, and also book talk does reviews on books so people will know what books to go and buy. And so he was just, you could see that he was out of touch. It was going over his head. Now, one thing that we have to remember regarding the time period of when Omar Tyree became a New York Times bestselling author for Fly Girl was during the early 90s. Urban literature was like unheard of. That was something new that was hitting the scene. Outside of like Iceberg Slim, which that was like a certain set of readers, we didn't have books like what he was writing. So this was around the time when you started to see authors explode on the scene, your late 80s, early 90s, Eric Jerome Dickey, you saw Terry McMillan coming on the scene, you had your Omar Tyree, you had all of these other urban fiction writers who some of them said that they were urban street literature, which Omar Tyree is very clear and adamant, do not call his work urban street literature. You can call it urban literature or urban fiction. That during that time, it was very difficult for us as Black readers to find work like that, reading materials like that. Like that wasn't available in the library, at least not where I lived. If I wanted to get a book like that, I usually had to order it through mail order, or I could go to a bookstore such as Walden Books, B. Dalton, or Borders, go to the counter, and they could order a copy for me. And maybe they might order a couple of extra copies, but it wasn't books that they had like displayed in the window. And yes, we found out about these books through the Essence bestseller list, or Essence doing a review about them, because also in the early 90s, social media was not what it is today. Like social media wasn't even a thing, okay? Like we may have had AOL dial-up, but we really got all of our information from print material. So it would have been like the Essence bestsellers list, or Essence telling us about a new author that is on the scene. But that's not the case anymore. And so we have to remember when he came on the scene, the time period, how things were. But he also needs to remember that things aren't what they used to be, and that the times have changed. And it will kind of behoove him to catch up with where we are now, especially his fan base. So, you know, if I was in Omar's camp, which I'm not, and at this point I probably have no desire to be because he clearly does not like Black women, one of the things that I would suggest is they probably need to have his hearing checked, because of the volume of his voice during the interview. He was on 10 the entire time. And I want to say that interview was like at least an hour. To speak at that volume indicates that there's probably some issues going on with his hearing. And either he's ignoring it or he doesn't realize it. But at our big ages of, 50 plus, hearing is one of those things that sometimes leaves us, or, we need some assistance. He probably needs some assistance in that area. He also desperately needs a PR team to work with him, to coach him on interviews, or he just needs to stop doing interviews. Like, just stop. He needs to get his facts straight, because he clearly does not understand that Black women were the ones who supported him to make Fly Girl a New York Times best-selling book. We made him a best-selling author. And so that you have to keep that in mind and understand who your core audience is, especially when you're getting ready to do a book launch. You don't talk about the people who are going out here and will support you. So he's lost his fan base with that interview. The fan base is gone. Now, I cite my sources. So down in the description, there is a link for the YouTube video of the interview, so you can go and watch it. But I would love to hear your thoughts after you watch it. Yes, come on back to the comments and let's have a conversation. Remember, everyone is entitled to their opinions. Let's have a civil conversation. But please take a look at the video and then come back. Also, I'm going to link the article that he wrote in 2005 with Essence Magazine. Take a look at that as well. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Did his publishing company drop the ball on this? Did they not give him the support that he needed? Or is he just like, he's a misogynistic douche? Like, he just doesn't like Black women. Because he didn't say bad stuff about white women or Asian women. He just really degraded Black women. Oh, he also talked about his mama too. Yeah, you really have to watch the interview. And most people are saying that they could not make it through the entire hour of the interview. So I'd like to know how far along you got in the interview as well. And lastly, do you plan to support the relaunch of Fly Girl? Will you go out and buy a copy? Will you go check him out at a book signing? What are your thoughts? Should we forgive him, give him grace, or cancel him? I'd like to hear your thoughts below. So if you like this video and you found it informative, make sure you hit the like button. And if you are not subscribed, what are you doing? I need you to hit that subscribe button so you'll know when the next video drops. And I just want to thank you for hanging in there with me and watching my videos and sharing them out with other people. So if you found this informative, share it out with your girlfriends. Maybe they haven't seen the Omar Tyree debacle as well. So again, my name is Dr. Carey Yazeed, and I'll see you next time.